All right, today we're jumping into two really powerful, super low-cost ways to completely supercharge your soil. We're talking liquid compost and cage compost. Now, these methods come straight from a Cambodian agricultural guide, and trust me, they are absolute game changers for anyone who grows anything. So let's get right into it.
So let me ask you something. Do you want healthier crops, bigger yields, but without, spending a fortune on commercial fertilizers? Well, if that's you, you're in exactly the right place. Because the solution, it's probably right in your own backyard.
Okay, so here's what we've got on tap. First, we'll talk about why homemade compost is just so darn effective. Then, we're going to walk through the step-by-step recipes for both the liquid and the cage compost. After that, I'll show you exactly how to use them, and we'll wrap it all up with a really key tip to get you started.
All right, first things first, let's tackle the big question, right? Why even bother making your own compost? I mean, you can just go buy fertilizer. Well, the answer is about so much more than just saving a few bucks or cutting down on waste. It's really about building that deep, long-term health for your soil.
And the benefits? Oh, they are fantastic. And we're not just talking about feeding your plants here. This stuff enriches your soil with that crucial organic matter, which leads directly to bigger and better crop yields. Plus, the nutrients are already broken down, so they're super easy for plants to just soak right up. And get this, here's a cool little bonus. The smell can actually help keep some pests away from your garden. How great is that?
Okay, let's get our hands dirty with the first recipe, liquid compost. The best way to think about this is like a super fast energy drink for your plants. It's perfect for giving them a really quick, really powerful boost of nutrients.
So first up, what do you need to get this going? It's pretty simple. For your materials, you're just going to need a jar or some kind of container with a tight lid, a cloth bag, and a stone to weigh that bag down. And for the ingredients, the real magic stuff, we're talking animal manure. Chicken and pigeon are fantastic choices, and some leaves from fragrant or deep-rooted plants, like neem, for example. And the process itself, it's honestly wonderfully simple. First, you just mix your ingredients together. The guide suggests a ratio of about 10 kilos of leaves to 6 kilos of manure. Then, you pack that whole mixture into your cloth bag. Think of it like a giant tea bag for your garden. Next, you submerge that bag in your container. You're looking for a ratio of about 20 parts water to 1 part of your compost mix. And finally, you seal that container up really tight. This part is super important because it keeps the flies out and, trust me, it keeps the smells in. Okay, listen up, because this next step is maybe the most important part of the whole process. You absolutely have to stir the mixture twice a day, just for about 5 minutes each time. See, that stirring is what gets oxygen into the water, and that oxygen is what all those good microbes need to thrive and do their job breaking everything down. And that's pretty much it. You do that for 3 weeks, and your liquid compost will be ready to go. You'll definitely know it's done when it has that distinct, strong smell. Yep, a super quick, super potent fertilizer in less than a month. Not bad at all.
All right, let's shift gears now to our second method. This one builds a totally different kind of fertilizer. We're talking about cage compost. And with this one, the goal is to create a big batch of that rich, dark, beautiful, soil-like compost. It just takes a little more time.
So for this one, your materials are more for construction. You'll need some bamboo or wood slats and, basic tools like a saw and a hammer to actually build the cage. And the ingredients? It's all about balance here. You need a good mix of animal manure, some fresh, green materials like grass or banana stalks, and some dry, brown materials like straw or rice husks. Getting that balance right is absolutely key for good decomposition.
Now, building this pile correctly, it's everything. You're going to start with a pretty thick layer, about 25 centimeters, of your dry materials, and then give them a good soak with water. On top of that, add a layer of your fresh, green materials, maybe 10 to 15 centimeters. Then a 5-centimeter layer of manure. You see the pattern here, right? You just keep repeating those layers, dry, fresh, manure, over and over until that cage is totally full.
Oh, and here is a fantastic pro tip straight from the source. As you're building your pile, stick a few thick poles right down the center. Then, once the cage is all full, you just pull those poles straight out. What this does is create these amazing vertical air channels, little vents that let oxygen get deep into the middle of the pile. And that aeration, it's absolutely essential for this to work. So, how long does this take? Well, it really depends on the size of your bin. If you've got a smaller one, say 1 cubic meter, it'll be ready in about 45 to 50 days. The trade-off is you'll need to turn that pile every 7 to 10 days to keep it aerated. Now, a larger bin, that's going to take longer,
maybe 2 to 3 months. But it's actually less work. You just have to remember to water it every once in a while to keep it moist.
All right, so you've put in the work, you've been patient, and now you have your finished compost. This is the best part, actually putting it to use. So let's look at how to apply both the liquid and the cage compost to get the absolute most out of them.
For that liquid compost we made, the application couldn't be simpler. You literally just pour it directly onto the soil around the base of your plants. The guide recommends a rate of about 1 liter for every square meter of soil.
So let's break down the uses for each. The liquid compost, like we just said, goes right on the soil. But you can also dilute it, say 1-to-1 with water, and use it as a foliar spray right on the leaves. Now the cage compost, that's a different beast. It's a real soil builder. You'll want to mix it in when you're preparing beds for seedlings, or use it as a base fertilizer. We're talking about 300 kilos for every 100 square meters.
But how do you know when that cage compost is actually ready? Well, there are 4 key signs to look for. First, the color should be a rich, dark brown. Second, the pile will have cooled right down to a normal temperature. Third, there won't be any foul smell. It'll just smell earthy and pleasant. And my personal favorite sign? You'll start to see helpful critters like earthworms and millipedes making a home in there. That's when you know you've got the good stuff.
Okay, as we're getting ready to wrap this up, I want to share one last really crucial piece of advice from the guide. This is to make sure all that hard work you put in really pays off when you go to use your finished compost. And this final tip is so important. When you're ready to apply that beautiful cage compost, don't just spread it on top of the ground. You have to mix it into the soil. Why is this such a big deal? Well, if you leave it on the surface, a lot of that valuable nitrogen can just escape into the air as a gas. By mixing it in, you make sure all those amazing nutrients go right to your plant's roots, exactly where they're needed.
So there you have it. 2 incredibly effective, super low-cost ways to create your own amazing fertilizer at home. You've got the fast-acting liquid feed on one hand and the rich, long-term soil builder on the other. Really, the only question left to ask is, which one are you going to make first?